NCERT Class 7 Science Chapter 2 Nutrition in Animals. Animal nutrition includes nutrition requirement, mode of intake of food and its utilization in the body. So in this chapter we shall discuss about animal nutrition, and it includes nutrition requirement, mode of intake of food and its utilization by the body. The components of food such as carbohydrates are complex substances. These complex substances cannot be utilized as much, so they are broken down to simpler substances. The breakdown of complex components of food into simpler substances is called digestion. So the components of food such as carbohydrates are complex substances, so it should be breakdown. So they are broken down to simple substances. The breakdown of complex components of food into simpler substances is known as digestion. The breakdown of complex substances in food into simpler substances is known as digestion. Different ways of taking food. The mode of taking food into the body varies in different organisms. Bees and hummingbirds suck the nectar of plants. Infants of humans and many other animals feed on mother's milk. Snakes like the python swallow the animals they prey upon. Some aquatic animals filter tiny food particles floating nearby and feed upon them. So there are different ways of taking food according to different organisms. Such as bees and hummingbirds suck the nectar, and human babies and babies of other animals feed on mother's milk, and snakes like python swallow the animals they prey upon, and some aquatic animals filter tiny food particles floating nearby and feed upon them. An amazing fact about taking food in starfish. Starfish feeds on animals covered by hard shells of calcium carbonate. After opening the shell, the starfish pops out its stomach through its mouth to eat the soft animal inside the shell. The stomach then goes back in the body and the food is slowly digested. It's an interesting fact about starfish. That means starfish feeds on animals that is covered by hard shells. These shells is made up of calcium carbonate. How it eats the animal? First, the starfish pops out its stomach through its mouth. It pops out its stomach through its mouth to eat the soft animal inside the shell. So it pops out its stomach into the shell to eat the soft animal inside the shell. Then after eating it, the stomach goes back into the body and the food is slowly digested. Digestion in human. We take in food through the mouth, digest and utilize it. The unused parts of the food are defecated. Have you ever wondered what happens to the food inside the body? The food passes through a continuous canal which begins the buccal cavity and ends at the anus. The canal can be divided into various compartments: the buccal cavity, food pipe or esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, ending in the rectum and the anus. It is not a very long path. These parts together form the alimentary canal or digestive tract. The food components gradually get digested as food travels through the various compartments. The inner walls of the stomach and the small intestine and the various glands associated with the canal such as salivary gland, the liver and the pancreas secretes digestive juices. The digestive juices convert complex substances of the food into simpler ones. The digestive tract and associated glands together constitute the digestive system. So what will happen? What happens to the food inside the body? The food passes through a continuous canal which begins with the buccal cavity and ends in the anus. The components or the compartments of the canal are buccal cavity, food pipe or esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine and ending in the rectum and the anus. These parts together form the alimentary canal or digestive tract. And the food components gradually get digested and food travels through the various compartments. And the inner walls of the stomach and small intestine and their associated glands such as salivary gland, liver and pancreas secretes digestive juices. These digestive juices convert complex substances of food into simpler ones. So the digestive tract and the associated glands together constitute the digestive system. Human digestive system. First, the buccal cavity. Then there is the salivary gland in buccal cavity. Then esophagus. Then stomach, near stomach, liver and gallbladder. Then pancreas. Then small intestine, large intestine, rectum and anus. So the salivary gland, pancreas, stomach, small intestines produce digestive juices. The mouth and the buccal cavity. Now we are going to look one by one. First one, the mouth and the buccal cavity. The food is taken into the body through the mouth. The process of taking food into the body is called ingestion. The process of taking in food into the body is called ingestion. We chew the food with teeth and break it down mechanically into small pieces. Each tooth is rooted in a separate socket in the gums. Our teeth vary in appearance and perform different functions. Accordingly, they are given different names. As we know, the food is taken in through the mouth and the process of taking food into the body is known as ingestion. After taking it, we chew the food and break them mechanically into small pieces. And each tooth is rooted in separate socket in the gums and each tooth vary in appearance and perform different functions. So arrangement of teeth and different types of teeth. First one, molars. Molars, premolars, canine and incisors. These are the four types of teeth. Molars, premolars, canines and incisors. And cutting and biting teeth is incisor. Piercing and tearing teeth is canine. And chewing and grinding teeth is molar and premolar. Cutting and biting by incisors, piercing and tearing by canine, chewing and grinding by premolars and molars. Our mouth has salivary glands which secrete saliva. The saliva breaks down the starch into sugars. The tongue is a fleshy muscular organ attached at the back of the floor of the buccal cavity. It is free at the front and can be moved in all directions. We use our tongue for talking. Besides, it mixes saliva with the food during chewing and helps in swallowing food. We also taste food with our tongue. It has taste buds that detect different tastes of food. Our mouth has salivary glands which secrete saliva. And the saliva breaks down the starch into sugars. Starch present in the food into sugars. The tongue is a fleshy muscular organ attached to the bottom or the back to the floor of the buccal cavity. It can be moved in all directions. And besides talking, this tongue helps in mixing saliva with the food during chewing and helps in swallowing food. We also taste food with our tongue. Regions of the tongue for different tastes. This front position is for sweet, then two sides salty, then these two sides sour and at the back bitter. Sweet, salty, sour, then bitter. Milk teeth and permanent teeth. The first set of teeth grows during infancy and they fall off at the age between 6 to 8 years. These are termed as milk teeth. The second set of replace them are the permanent teeth. The permanent teeth may last throughout life or fall off during old age due to some dental disease. So there are two types of teeth, milk teeth and permanent teeth. Milk teeth and permanent teeth. The set of teeth that grows during the infancy and they fall off at the age between 6 or 8 years is milk teeth, and the second set of teeth that replace them are the permanent teeth. The food pipe or esophagus. The solid food paused in the food pipe or esophagus. The food pipe runs along the neck and the chest. Food is pushed down by movement of the wall of the food pipe. Actually, this movement takes place toward the alimentary canal and pushes the food downwards. At times, the food is not accepted by our stomach and is vomiting out. So, the food pipe or esophagus. The swallowed food passes into the esophagus. The pipe runs along the neck and the chest. The food is pushed down by the movement of the wall of food pipe. This movement takes place throughout the alimentary canal and pushes the food downwards. Stomach. The stomach is a thin-walled bag. Its shape is like a flattened Z and it is widest part of the alimentary canal. The widest part of the alimentary canal. It receives food from the food pipe at one end and opens into the small intestine at the other. The inner lining of the stomach secretes mucus, hydrochloric acid and digestive juices. The mucus protects the lining of the stomach. The acid kills many bacteria that enter along with the food and makes the medium in the stomach acid and helps the digestive juice to act. The digestive juice break down the protein into simpler substances. So next part is stomach. Stomach is a thick-walled bag. Its shape is like a flattened Z and it is the widest part of the alimentary canal. The widest part of the alimentary canal is stomach. It receives food from food pipe and opens it to the small intestine. Inside the stomach and the inner lining of the stomach secretes mucus, hydrochloric acid and digestive juices. The mucus protects the lining of the stomach and the acid kills many bacteria that enter with the food and makes the medium in the stomach acid and helps in digestive juice to act. And the digestive juice break down the proteins into simpler substances. So proteins is break down inside stomach by the digestive juices secreted by its lining. The small intestine. The small intestine is highly coiled and is about 7.5 meters long. It receives secretions from the liver and the pancreas. Besides, it also secretes juices. The liver is a reddish brown gland situated in the upper part of the abdomen of the right side. It is the largest gland in the body. It secretes bile juice that is stored in a sac called the gallbladder. The bile plays an important role in the digestion of fat. The pancreas is the large cream-colored gland located just below the stomach. The pancreatic juice adds on carbohydrates, fats and proteins and changes them into simpler forms. Next part, the small intestine. The small intestine is highly coiled. It is only about 7.5 meters long. It receives secretions from liver and pancreas. Its wall also secretes juices. Then the liver is a reddish brown gland situated in the upper part of the abdomen and it is the largest gland in the body. Liver is the largest gland in the body. It secretes bile juice. Liver secreted bile juice and this is stored in a sac called the gallbladder. The bile plays an important role in the digestion of fat. Bile plays an important role in the digestion of fat. Next, the pancreas. The pancreas is a large cream-colored gland located just below the stomach. And the pancreatic juice acts on carbohydrate, fat and proteins and changes them into simpler forms. So the bile plays an important role in the digestion of fat. The pancreas juice acts on carbohydrates, fats, and proteins and changes them into simpler forms. And the digestive juices in stomach break down protein into simpler substances. The partially digested food now reaches the lower part of the small intestine where the intestinal juice completes the digestion of all components of the food. The carbohydrates get broken into simple sugars such as glucose, fats into fatty acid and glycerol, and protein into amino acid. So the food is only partially digested. Now it reaches in the lower part of the small intestine. There the intestinal juices complete the digestion of all components of food. So in which part of the alimentary canal the food is completely digested? In the small intestine. The food is completely digested in the small intestine. And at last the carbohydrates get broken into simpler sugars such as glucose, the fat break down into fatty acid and glycerol, and protein into amino acids. Absorption in the small intestine. The digested food can now pass into the blood vessels in the walls of the intestine. This process is called absorption. The inner wall of the small intestine have thousands of finger-like outgrowths. These are called villi, singular villus. The villi increase the surface area for absorption of the digested food. Each villus have a network of thin and small blood vessels close to its surface. The surface of the villi absorbs the digested food material. The absorbed substances are transported by the blood vessels to different organs of the body where they are used to build complex substances such as the proteins required by the body. This is called assimilation. In the cells, glucose breaks down with the help of oxygen into carbon dioxide and water, and energy is released. The food that remains undigested and unabsorbed enters into the large intestine. So absorption in the small intestine. Next process in the small intestine is absorption. The digested food passes into the blood vessels in the wall of the intestine. This process is called absorption. The inner walls of the small intestine has thousands of finger-like outgrowths called villi. These increase the surface area for absorption of the digested food. And the absorbed substances are transported by the blood vessels to different organs of the body where they are used to build complex substances such as protein required by the body. This is called assimilation. So what is assimilation? The absorbed substances are transported by the blood vessels to different organs of the body where they are used to build complex substances such as proteins required by the body. This is called assimilation. And in the cells, glucose breaks down with the help of oxygen into carbon dioxide and water, and energy is released. And the undigested and unabsorbed food materials entered into the large intestine. Large intestine. The large intestine is wider and shorter than small intestine. It is about 1.5 meters in length. Its function is to absorb water and some salts from the undigested food material. The remaining waste passes into the rectum and remains there as semi-solid feces. Fecal matter is removed through the anus from time to time. This is called egestion. So the large intestine is wider and shorter than small intestine. It is about 1.5 meter length. Its function is to absorb water and some salts from the undigested food. And this remaining waste passes into the rectum and remains there as semi-solid feces. This fecal matter is removed through the anus from time to time. This process is called egestion. The removal of fecal matter by the anus is known as egestion. Digestion in grass-eating animals. Have you observed cows, buffaloes and other grass-eating animals chewing continuously even when they are not eating? Actually, they quickly swallow the grass and store it in a part of the stomach called rumen. Here, the food gets partially digested and is called cut, but later the cut returns to the mouth in small lumps as the animal chews it. This process is called rumination, and these animals are called ruminants. So next, how digestion is done in grass-eating animals. So the grass-eating animals may chew continuously even when they are not eating. Actually, they quickly swallow the grass and store them in a part of their stomach called rumen. the part of his stomach called rumen. Here the food gets partially digested. This partially digested food is known as cud. And later the cud returns to the mouth in small lumps and the animal chew it. The process is called rumination, and the animals which do this process is known as ruminants. The grass is rich in cellulose, a type of carbohydrates. In ruminants like cattle, deer, etc., bacteria present in ruminant helps in digestion of cellulose. Many animals, including humans, cannot digest cellulose. So the grass is rich in cellulose. It is a type of carbohydrate. In ruminants like cattle, deer, etc., a bacteria is present in ruminant. That means ruminant is a part of the stomach where the partially digested food is stored, and some bacteria are present in the ruminant which helps in the digestion of cellulose. But many animals, including humans, cannot digest cellulose. Animals like horses, rabbit, etc. have a large sac-like structure called cecum between the esophagus and the small intestine. The cellulose of the food is digested there by the action of certain bacteria which are not present in human. So in animals like horses, rabbit, etc., they have a large sac-like structure called the cecum between the esophagus and the small intestine. The cellulose of the food is digested there by the action of certain bacteria. These bacteria are not present in humans. Feeding and digestion in amoeba. Amoeba, a microscopic single-cell organism found in pond water. Amoeba has a cell membrane and rounded, dense nucleus and many small bubbles-like vacuoles in its cytoplasm. Amoeba constantly changes its shape and position. It pushes out one or more finger-like projections called pseudopodia or false feet for movement and capture of food. So how digestion and feeding is done in amoeba? So as we know, amoeba is a microscopic single-cell organism that is found in pond water. It has a cell membrane, a nucleus and some bubble-like structures, vacuoles, in its cytoplasm. So amoeba constantly changes its shape and position. It pushed out one or more finger-like projections called the pseudopodia or the false feet. It helps in the movement and capture of food in amoeba. Amoeba feeds on some microscopic organism. When it sends food, it pushes some pseudopodia around the food particles and engulfs it. The food becomes trapped in the food vacuole. The amoeba feeds with the help of pseudopodia and the food is trapped in the food vacuole. Digestive juices are secreted into the food vacuole. They act on food and breaks it down into simpler substances. Gradually, the digested food is absorbed. The absorbed substances are used for the growth, maintenance, and multiplication. The undigested particles of the food is expelled out of the vacuole. So, after taking in food, digestive juices secreted by the food vacuole act on the food and breaks down into simple substances. Then the digested food is absorbed. After that, the undigested food is expelled outside by the vacuole. The basic process of digestion of food and release of energy is the same in all animals. So the key points of this chapter are: in animals, nutrition includes nutrient requirement, mode of intake of food, and its utilization in the body. Human digestive system consists of an alimentary canal and secretory glands. It consists of the buccal cavity, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, ending in rectum and the anus. The main digestive glands which secrete digestive juices are the salivary gland, the liver, and the pancreas. The stomach wall and the wall of the small intestine also secrete digestive juices. The mode of feeding vary in different organisms. Nutrition is a complex process involving ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation, and egestion. Digestion of carbohydrate like starch begins in the buccal cavity. The digestion of protein starts in the stomach. The bile secreted from the liver, the pancreatic juice from the pancreas, and the digestive juice from the intestine walls complete the digestion of all components of the small intestine. In the small intestine, the digested food is absorbed in the blood vessels from the small intestine. The absorbed substances are transported to different parts of the body. Water and some salts are absorbed from the undigested food in the large intestine. The undigested and unabsorbed remaining are expelled out of the body as fecal matter through the anus. The grazing animals like cows, buffaloes, and deer are known as ruminants. They quickly ingest, swallow their leafy food, and store it in the rumen. Later, the food returns to the mouth and the animals chew it peacefully. Amoeba ingests its food with the help of its false feet or pseudopodia. The food is digested in the food vacuole. Thank you.